You've probably heard the same advice over and over again of being a full-time artist. Get on social media and start posting videos of yourself. You are your own business. Pick a niche. Get a side hustle that gets you just enough money to squeak by as you're a little fish in a big pond, hoping and praying that someone is going to see you and appreciate your work to the point where, what? What is the end goal even? We'll scratch that for just a second. I want you to challenge yourself to look at being a full-time artist in a different perspective, a more abundant perspective, a more sustainable perspective, a perspective that pays you back tenfold and helps you not just get by as an artist, but absolutely thrive doing what you love full-time. Let's get right into it. The first way to do this is to find your Ikigai and work backwards. Every time I say this, it sounds like Ikigai, but I'm really saying Ikigai. So your Ikigai is a compilation of 4 main things: what you love, what the world needs, what you're good at, and what you can be paid for. This is what they call the secret to a joyful life. When I say work backwards from this, what I mean is to start with actually what you're good at and what you can get paid for. Now, I know it's kind of easy to shoot for the follow your dreams, like go for everything and don't hold back, and I don't disagree. I fully believe in following your dreams, but I think the way to actually following your dreams is to put in the brunt work for a few years so you can actually have the money to be able to follow those dreams without having like crippling anxiety every 2 seconds that you're not going to be able to pay rent. For artists and creatives especially, I see, hi, are you wanna come? Come on, yay, say hi to everyone. Say hi, say hi, say hi to the Ikigai. Ooh, sounded weird. So instead of going this route, and this is the route that I really wanted to take when I was living in New York City, I was saying, let me shoot for my dreams, let me shoot for my dreams, let me get a minimum wage job, and I'll figure that all out later. But what I really should have been doing was kind of working backwards in this sense and saying, no, let me get a job now, start getting really good in a skill that a lot of people need. And conveniently, that was digital marketing. I see a lot of artists and creatives get into VA work, content writing, social media management, project management, content creators for local brands, something using your natural creativity for people who don't have that. There are so many people who don't want to touch social media, not because they don't think that they need it, but because they literally don't even know how to approach it. They can't even fathom the idea of being creative in any way. And that's where you come in. This is honestly why I suggest to any artist who's looking to get started and build a foundation financially for themselves is to start in digital marketing. I mean, we see so many YouTubers who need community management, social media management, and so much more stuff is done digitally now. And everyone is constantly looking for more ways to market. Go on social media, everyone's marketing. You go on Google, everyone's marketing. You go on YouTube, everyone's marketing. Marketing is everywhere, and you're doing this all digitally. It is literally just a pool of so many potential career paths that then you can actually apply to your own work in the future. I really think that starting in digital marketing as an artist is a really great way to start that foundation. And it's very simple to start. I mean, you could start on a platform like I did, like Upwork or Fiverr. Start with a really low rate just to get some good 5-star ratings. And once you've gotten a few of those, you can start upping your rate. And before you know it, you will be working full-time remotely in something that you're doing creatively for others and getting paid good for it. So now you can work remotely and dedicate all of your in-person time to creating your art. Thinking back to what I was told as an artist, which wasn't necessarily wrong, but it's different than what it is now. I was told to go move to New York City, get a job as a waitress, audition during the day, work at night. That's pretty much it. Until you get your big break, which let's say you were to get cast in a show, that show is gonna be running likely for a very limited time, and then you're back on your butt working again. Now, I was doing this for a few years. I was working in catering. I would cater to big tech startups. And what was crazy was after 2020, I was interacting with a lot of those tech startups, working in tech startups. Kind of crazy, the full circle moment that I had, but also that I think that you can kind of learn from in your journey. I was trying to figure out if I should clean my bed because I'm packing for this tour, but I was like, maybe I should just be realistic about the mess. The key to this, once you start getting more into the freelance world, you have a few clients, you've worked on a few projects, you've gotten paid, but you've gotten some good 5-star reviews, is to start working towards more retainer clients. So more clients that are ongoing. Depending on your field, you might have to tweak your offerings a little bit. If you are a graphic designer and you do logos, that is not really something you can do on retainer with somebody because you make the logo and then they're done. But if you're a graphic designer, you could make Pinterest graphics, you can make social media templates or social media graphics that they'll need every month on an ongoing basis. That is more output on your end, so they get a lot more benefit. And then you're getting consistent income. Eventually, once you get a little bit more into this, you can start building contracts with clients for, 3 months or 6 months or things like that. And even if you say, you can cancel the contract at any time within a 30 days notice, it is kind of an energetic thing of the client knowing that you're really serious and you want to work with them long term. Consistency on your end too. I mean, there's always the client who will want to drop in the middle of the month, and there's nothing you can do about that, but it shows that you're more serious and it starts attracting people who want to pay you on an ongoing basis. Then this kind of goes into a continuation of this, which is you can start pivoting more into what you want to do. You don't have to do this forever. Now, if you have not read the 4-Hour Workweek yet, please read it. This is honestly a turning point in my life right now, where I'm rereading this for like the 5th time and still learning so many new things. Let's say you love doing graphic design, but what you really want to be doing is running your own Etsy shop or being a musician or being an actor. You're obviously not going to have as much time during the day to pursue those things because you're going to be working for a client. Reading and understanding the approach, the 4-Hour Workweek approach, is going to help you so much in understanding how to scale, how to alleviate those tasks that really don't matter to you, how to start outsourcing your work, how to switch to remote if you haven't already, but if you're in digital marketing, you should already be remote. There are some people who have backlash on this book because they think it's about being lazy and, you're trying to do less of a job, and what if you love that job? And this isn't what that's about. This is about when you're in a job that is not your dream job, how to let it continue supporting you so you can do whatever you want to do, whether that's work your dream job or go on vacations all the time or sit at home. Is this crooked? I just need a good leveler. This misconception that the 4-Hour Workweek is the book that's telling you to be lazy and do less work and do less music. No, it's telling you that if you were in a job that offers you consistent income, but you want time to do something else in transition, this is how you do it. This is how you don't waste time doing other things and only do what you're really good at, and then kind of have someone else help you with all the rest so you have so much time to pursue whatever you want to be doing and not be stressing about money. I've recommended that book to so many people. I started reading it in 2020 when I had nothing to do. I remember I would go on these long walks and just listen to it and be like, this is a thing? Wow, I don't know. I was just kind of diving into digital marketing. Now I feel like I'm kind of at a point where a lot of the lessons about checking your email once a day or once a week is something that's very important for people to think about. There is so much time wasted on many little things that don't need. All right, I'm gonna change my battery, BRB. So this all goes back to the Ikigai concept of you're starting in a career path, i.e. something digital marketing related, where you can use your creativity to help support your career. So you're doing what you can be paid for, what you're good at, and what the world needs. And eventually then, using the 4-Hour Workweek approach, you're transitioning into what you love. There is a strategy to that, and I feel like it's not talked about enough, and it's something that I took 4 to 5 years to really discover. You might feel like when you're working in digital marketing or when you're doing these career paths, you might be seeing all of your artist friends celebrating things that they're doing and everything. I think there is an innate practice that you can be doing with celebrating them and knowing that your time is gonna come and that you are being patient and you're in it for the long game. That's what this approach, this strategy that I used and that I'm suggesting to you really does. It sets you up for ongoing income. It sets you up for long-term support. So it's not just these quick fixes. It's not just, let's go get a job, like a minimum wage job here just so I can cover this, and then a job here just to cover it. It's like, no, how can you use your skills to actually create a business for yourself that can eventually run on autopilot or fund something else? The concepts that I learned working in digital marketing for other people, helping other people run their blogs and YouTube channels, then helped me create my own blog and create my own YouTube channel and do my own social media. These are all things that I never ever would have learned if I was trying to grab for anything, trying to do the easy jobs and the quick money. I did do that for a little bit. I was doing Uber Eats, I was driving for DoorDash, I was doing catering. Maybe there's a time and a place to do that, but I just want to implore you on really understanding the skills that you might have outside of your artistry and how you can use that to leverage your career to eventually not only make the financial padding for yourself that you need, but educating yourself on how you can do this in the future as if you were your own client. Because ultimately, you are such a unique artist just by being alive, which goes into my next point, which is to embrace you as the niche. If you have worked in marketing at all, if you've watched any YouTube videos about content creation or social media or running a business, you probably have heard the term niche. Niching down, pick your niche, find your niche. I don't believe any of these terms are helpful at all. I have gone through courses where they tell you the first thing you need to do is pick your niche, like it's picking something in one of those claw machine things, like just pick it, just find it. And I do not for the life of me understand how anybody can do that, especially someone who's a creative. We are the niche. Just existing, we are the niche. You are the niche just by living and breathing and the way you talk, the things you love to talk about. You are a niche. That's it. You're done. Eventually, you will have to lean into this niche of yourself. And some people call it your type, like typecasting and acting, or your genre, the type of music that you release. There is a balance between not getting too caught up in one thing. Static talks a lot about this idea of why are we trying to label our music? Calling it a country song versus calling it pop versus whatever, who cares? It should be about what the person's listening to. Of course, on the other end, you want to make sure that you are clearly showcasing what you do to a particular audience. So there's that balance. I totally understand that. But it's just that working in marketing and taking courses and watching YouTube videos for the 5+ years that I've been doing this, I have just decided that I do not believe in picking a niche or niching down, and I don't think it's helpful for artists at all. If it is helpful for you, comment down below and prove me wrong, please, because it was not helpful for me. And it honestly gave me analysis paralysis for the longest time. I felt like I couldn't post anything, I couldn't start anything because I hadn't picked my niche. When in reality, she was here the whole time, just yo, I'm right here. This kind of goes into me having to reject this whole idea of introducing myself as I'm a musician, or I'm a writer, I am this, I am that. And it's interesting how the English language says I am this, as if it's who you are instead of what you have. I think in Spanish, I feel like I remember learning the translation being I have, instead of I am a brunette, it's I have brown hair. It's a state of belonging that you can have or let go whenever you want. In the English language, for some reason, we just feel like we need to define our entire beings by one singular thing. And as a creative overthinker, I will say, I just found every reason to get overwhelmed by that. Well, I want people to know me for this. I want to only be known as a musician. I don't want to start a YouTube channel because I don't want people to know me as a YouTuber. I want them to know me as the, and I would just get so caught up in that. And so I just had to start switching my language completely. Instead of saying I am this, to saying I do this. When people ask me what I do, instead of saying I'm a musician or I'm a writer, I would say I write music, I do some work in marketing, I have a YouTube channel, I do XYZ, and it just gave me a lot of freedom. I don't know why, it just gave me a lot of sense of detachment. I feel like I overthink all of this all the time. So that is an exercise that I've tried to do, and maybe if you feel like you were feeling overwhelmed by labels and what people see you as, you could try it too. As I started becoming more honest with myself and with other people about what I did versus what I was using a lot of the principles that I'd learned in the Esper studio, my acting school in New York City, to apply to my life. There is the infamous acting saying that Esper kind of tweaked a little bit, which is that acting is living truthfully under imaginary circumstances, which he ended up changing slightly to acting is doing truthfully under imaginary circumstances. And in the sense of embracing you as the niche, a big part of this is just being moment to moment and doing truthfully under, in this case, circumstances in your life. We had a lot of exercises in class where we would do repetition. It's between two people, and one of the partners just takes in the other person and says something that they get off of them. You look concerned, and the other person will reply, I look concerned. You look concerned, and it'll go back and forth, and it seems silly and it seems repetitive. But what it really is doing is just forcing you to put all of your attention on something else and truthfully just saying exactly how you feel. I am not saying to go around and live without a filter. Socialization is here for a reason. As much as it feels like we are suppressing ourselves sometimes, which we absolutely are, there is a reason for socialization. Socialization helps us make money, but I think sometimes we can take it a little bit too personally. We're detaching ourselves so much from our own truth that we don't know who we are. I want to make sure everybody's happy. I want to make sure everyone's comfortable and entertained, and if they're not, then it's my fault. So something else that I've really been doing to embrace me as the niche, embracing you as the niche, is really just taking in other things and sometimes just speaking our mind. I learned a lot about this when I worked in corporate. There was so much corporate talk, you know, the compliment sandwich, where you're doing such a great job, but we need to fix this, but you're doing such a great job. There's all these like techniques that people read from books about how to communicate with other people and how to strategize about this to get what you want. And again, these are all amazing skills, communication. But I think sometimes it just comes down to understanding how you feel and saying it just a clear, honest, loving way. If I'm working with someone and they seem a little bit overwhelmed, or maybe they seem like they're not happy with my work, instead of me trying to put on this face and saying, oh, okay, great, I'll see you later, I really apply these Esper principles, these Meisner principles, and say, you look concerned. Is there something making you anxious about this project? You can't even believe the answers that I will get if you're just honest with people. Now notice, I'm not saying be a jerk to people. I'm not saying be rude. I'm saying genuinely see what someone is going through and just speak to that. I think that that also says a lot about you and the way that you work and the way that you see the world. When it comes back to this whole idea of embracing you as the niche, this is helping you as an exercise. It's helping you get closer to how you see. I gotta close this window. I gotta close the window. This brings you closer to the idea that you are speaking your truth. You're not going through all this corporate lingo and getting caught up in all of this. It is important to your art too, because this is the only way that we can make art, is to be true to ourselves and be honest and open and see what things are happening and what people are going through and speaking to that. Maybe it isn't to them directly, but maybe it's then later through your music or later through your art. But using that as a practice in your work life and in your personal life is going to help you get more in tune with your art. By the way, if you like what you're hearing so far, I would love it if you subscribed. I would love to see you around. The last thing you need to do if you really want to be a full-time artist is to embrace your working style. Now, I have worked with, I feel like, every type of person. I've worked with people who are super organized to a point where they're like micromanaging, people who are not organized at all, people who are very reactive, people who are very patient, kind, inspired. Like, I have worked with every type of person. I feel like after all this time, I have learned not only the type of working style they are, but the type of working style that I am. A lot of this, I think, is uncovering what your childhood is like and what your triggers and traumas around, which sounds really deep. Obviously, I'm not a therapist or anything like that, but I find a lot of triggers come up for me in my working style, in a sense that I don't want to be working with people who treat everything like a fire. I prefer not to work with people who take things so seriously to a point where it's not fun anymore. There are other people who actually find fun in this challenge too. Both of these working styles are ways that we find peace in what we do. I personally find peace in making things fun. Like, I love sending memes. I genuinely just think that there are points where we don't need to take everything so seriously, that we are enough. On the contrary, there's also a really amazing artist type, Static included, where he actually finds peace in there's a time limit and we need to figure this out right now or everything's gonna blow up. Not literally, obviously, but there's a peace in that. I know I was like talking about traumas and everything, but I would say, like, connecting all of this, uncovering what you feel like might be coming up in your work that you feel like you're triggered by, and trying to connect that to things in your life that you're placing an emotion on it. I talked about working in digital marketing and finding this basically career path. And in that, you're gonna find that there are a lot of instances where you're working and you're very uncomfortable and you're like, I don't like what this person is doing. What I would say to that is, this is a way to understand what your working style is, not just in this digital marketing career, but as an artist. You can start understanding, what is your working style? What do you want your life to look like? What are the types of people you want to surround yourself with? This is a great way to start learning that. As you kind of embark on these many adventures and jobs, you can start asking yourself, what is really annoying you? What is the pet peeve that someone does and why? What innately is my trigger around that? Trying to release it and trying to say it's just data to help me and I don't need to take it personally, but then also using that to kind of like drive what you want to be doing in the future. I find therapy very helpful, like going to a therapist and being like, why am I triggered by this? Why am I triggered by this? We need to take responsibility for what is being triggered, because once we do become the creatives that we want to be, once we do become full-time at whatever we want to be doing, our problems working is not going to go away. It's not like you're never going to be working with people you don't want to be working with. It's not like you're only going to be happy every single day. There's going to be issues that come up. So you might as well use this time right now to start learning, why are these triggers coming? What are some tools that I can do to address them? But also, even if you are able to handle these triggers, what does that mean for what your future might look like? This is again like why I say that starting in digital marketing and working for other people in this realm is very helpful for when you start building your own business, because you can start seeing it from the opposite perspective, right? You're a team member for someone else, and eventually you might have your own team members as a musician, as an artist, creative. You know, if you have an Etsy shop, you might have a virtual assistant who's helping you put up listings or answer communications. You might be somebody who is going to be delegating things to other people. If you're a director, you're gonna have to talk to a lot of different people in the production. It's seeing this perspective that what you're in right now and letting that narrate the working style that you want to have, but also the type of artist and business owner that you want to be, because ultimately being an artist is being a business. It's definitely a different business. It's a unique business. It's a business that's I think a lot less common that you see people talk about on Instagram. I think a lot of us see big businessmen and tech companies and all that. I think ultimately you need to remember that to be a full-time creative means to be looking at yourself as a business. This is why I said at the beginning of the video, like I hear all of these recommendations and you gotta put yourself out there. You gotta work some crappy jobs in order to earn this. But what it really is you need to look at this entire career path as a business. And that's very hard, because I think the term business, at least to me, is seen as this very masculine, rigid thing where I'm going to work and I'm putting on a suit and I am doing this. But ultimately, a business can be fluid. It can be creative. At the root of all of this, if you want to be a full-time artist, I really want you to see your path as a beautiful, artful path to building a business, which I'm sure it might have been exactly what you were expecting to hear, or not at all what you wanted to hear, because you probably hear this a lot. Oh, you're an artist, you're your own business. If you like learning about creative businesses, you might want to hear how I brainwashed myself into starting this whole creative business, which is the next video over here. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye. Thrives under, wait, I feel like I had this written down. Did I have it in Notion? I feel like I wrote this down somewhere. No, it's like you're the brains. Maybe it's on my phone. Hold on.